Lunar lights. With countless shortcuts, taking the regular route on this one usually isn't enough. Today we are going to shoot through the stars to show you how to play one of the most stunning tracks in CTGP. Let's get started. To start off, align your vehicle to the left to be aligned with the boost panel in the distance. Once approaching the boost panel, start a drift and do a mixed soft drift. Then release and aim for the second boost panel. Wheelie off the second boost panel, then start a drift around a half second later. You want to soft drift this next turn, then chain a mini turbo into a mixed soft drift. Then release and hold left to be aligned to the left of the pole ahead. Soft drift the following turn. Not only will this allow you to charge your mini turbo faster, but it will also allow you to stick to the road. Once your mini turbo is charged, release and align left towards the next turn. The following left turn is done with a mixed soft drift, then chaining into a soft drift. Next, do an up trick off this ramp and land in a nosedive. This next section has loads of opportunity. Before the regular route, soft drift the left turn followed by a hard right. Then, once entering the cave, soft drift to the left, then align wide for the sharp right turn and drift hard right. Once again, do an up trick off this ramp and land in a nosedive. For this little turn, soft drift to the right, then hop to the left after you release to align for the last turn. The last turn is a little awkward. To cope with this, chain 2 mini turbos instead of just getting one, then align towards the left side of the road to complete the lap. On to the shortcuts, and there is a lot to cover here. Starting off, there is this dirt shortcut. It may not look like much, but taking this can grant you a top position early on in the race. To do this shortcut, drift off the boost panel and into the dirt. Once your boost from the boost panel runs out, use your mushroom to clear it. This next section has many shortcuts that vary in difficulty. Firstly, you can use this pipe to create a little shortcut by tricking off the edge of the road, then tricking off the pipe to land back on the track to skip the little turn. Now, you can also combine this pipe shortcut to create multiple larger shortcuts that cut over this gap. The first method is by crossing the gap in between these two poles. The edge of the road in between these two poles is very uneven, and sometimes you will either get low air or no trick at all when attempting this. To make this shortcut as consistent as possible, trick off the pipe and aim towards the larger blue and black pole on the left side. Upon landing, drift right and trick off the road right next to the large pole and hold back right while maintaining a drift to make it across to the other side. Now, this gap can also be cleared without the use of this pipe. This method is a little bit slower but very consistent. This is done by getting a mini turbo on the left turn, then chaining a drift to the right and using TF inputs to cross the gap by holding right and yanking your joystick left once airborne. This method is also useful as you can get the item set, whereas the pipe method skips over it. You can also cut the gap to the right of this pole, though this method takes a lot of practice to do consistently. To do this method, trick off the road and aim for the right side of the pipe, then drift trick off this pipe to the right. Once in midair off the pipe trick, you need to hold down on your joystick to get a good landing. If you do not do this, you will land with a bounce and you will miss the upcoming hop trick. Once landing on your tail from the pipe, wheelie and do a hop trick to the right off the edge of the road. If done correctly, you will get enough air to cross the gap. After hop tricking, you want to land in a nosedive and drift hard right to make the following turn. And if you thought that was a lot, you can combine these shroomless shortcuts with another shortcut, this time with a mushroom or power item. This shortcut is done differently depending on your approach. If you took the normal route or cut off the smaller gap, drive towards this section of the arrowed ramp and do a hop trick off of it. This will send you up top into the grass where you can use your mushroom and drift right to clear it. You can also combine the larger shroomless shortcut with this grass cut. Since the angle is smaller, you want to align almost head-on facing this arrowed ramp. Then, hop to the right onto it and trick while holding back left. This will send you onto the grass. The final shroom spot is located on the last turn. For this shortcut, shroom wants to hit the grass and drift right. You want to aim for the highest point of this slope to get a lot of airtime to avoid as much grass as possible. Once you reach the edge of the grass, trick and hold back to cross the gap. If you have multiple mushrooms, you can do this shortcut without tricking off the slope to negate airtime. The last little shortcut worth mentioning is on this sharp right turn, as the edge of the road here is trickable. For this turn skip, align wide and drift right towards the edge of the road. Then upon tricking, yank your joystick left to get more air to clear the gap. If you happen to get triple mushrooms or a golden mushroom first set, use it right away through the dirt cut to break away from the pack and to get an early lead. You can easily get a break going this way. Out of personal experience, the shock is used first set lap 3. However, this varies depending on the room you're in. If you are playing in a low tier room or a custom track worldwide, there is a good chance that someone in the room is going to fall very far behind. Therefore, there will be a good chance of a lap 1 or 2 shock. If the player in last is very far behind, expect an early shock and chain your dodge items to do one of the grass shortcuts. Even if you do not dodge, this is still effective in catching you up. Do not be risky on this section with the shroomless shortcuts. Do whatever you are consistent with, even if that means going around or cutting the smaller gap. It is much better to lose a position by going around than failing the shortcut and falling off, which can lose you a race. At the very start of the race, take these turns next to the dirt wide, as there is a good chance of backspam. Other popular backspam spots include this left turn and the last turn. Finally, if you have triple mushrooms or a golden mushroom, you can chain as much as 3 shortcuts with it, as shown here. By doing a method of the gap cut and the 2 grass cuts, there is potential for an epic lap 3 comeback. And that is all for this one. As always, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.